call that came in, but it was great news. And I'll share the great news just in a minute once everybody comes, because I think it ties in perfectly to the questions we always carry about our ancestors, you know, because we either feel like, are we being punished by our ancestors? Are we suffering because of our ancestors? Is this a curse from my ancestors? Are my ancestors not with me? Are they turning their backs on me because what have I done? Oh, my ancestors, this and this and this. But do we ever take a moment sometimes to see that what looks like a misfortune or a turbulence might be a test from the ancestors? What looks like a challenge might be a growth opportunity from the ancestors. Do we ever ask ourselves that in the ancestral realm, what is their thoughts? What, not even their thoughts, but which angle are they coming from? Because as it translates to us as human beings, we can sometimes tend to misinterpret the gifts that they're giving us, or the offerings, because everything that comes from the ancestors is an offering, and how we receive it is based on where we are at. You know, yes, this is life. I am life, beloveds. I went off quickly because there was a call that came in, and I'll relay the story just in a few minutes. But it was a perfect call, a perfect situation that I will actually relay. And these are the kinds of situations that make me understand Dlozi, that make me understand that ancestors are always there for us. Is that, are we listening and paying attention? So, you know, apologies. I'm glad that we are making our way back. I always say subscribe, put your notifications on, because I didn't make a note on all the socials that I'm coming live tonight. I just thought, okay, we'll save this and then it will remain. It is part 3 of Does Dlozi Choose Your Partner? One of the most favorite topics that we've ever discussed, because everyone knows how important companionship is, how important it is to be in relationship, because when we relate to other people, things about ourselves get revealed. You know, our own life purposes, our own directions, our own passions. So much of who we are gets revealed when we are in relationships, because they are mirrors. So hence, this is a very exciting topic. And people who are coming in, I do understand that you are part of the tribe community. The other thing that is exciting is that we are about to hit the 100,000K mark on Instagram. I am super thrilled, super excited that we're gonna do that. And as I have promised, that I'm gonna take 5 of my most favorite people out on a lunch, where we're gonna have lunch together, where you have one is you do have to be able to cover for your own meal. What I'm gonna give is my time and my intellect or my wisdom, because during lunch I will be having intimate conversations. So it's gonna be a lunch on of intimate conversations with Coco Dinero, celebrating 100K followers. I look today, we are sitting at 99.5, so it means 500 more followers, we there. So when the community and the tribe grows, we celebrate. I'm sure even in our culture, when there's something great, siyapahla, siyabonga. Yes. So the people is one of the most criteria is you need to be able to get yourself to the lunch place. You need to be able to pay for your lunch. Because remember, I'm also giving of my time and my resources, so I need people who can make a commitment to that. You don't pay me, you're not paying money in advance. When you get there, you should be able to pay for your meal. So even if you have a toasted cheese and tomatoes, so all you probably need is $100, right? Because we're gonna go to a place that is beautiful, intimate, where we can have this intimate lunch on with Cocodino. So that's what we're gonna do, intimate lunch on with Cocodino, 5 people, and we're not even gonna say once the people make it. The other thing is that I've been keeping codes of people who coach me, because as I speak, I also learn. As I teach you, I'm also a student. And sometimes I say the most profound, deep things. These things are going to be material I'm going to use for a book later. So my authors, so that's the criteria. If you capture, at the end of the day, I've saved them. I look who, these are the most people. And then once we're done and I can see, I will then announce and say this, you and you and you, 5 you are here. If you really are keen, let's do this lunch on, and then we'll have a WhatsApp group where we can communicate and coordinate a lunch with Coco Dinero. I'm sure it's going to be like a 5-hour lunch, but that's how much it's going to be, a dedicated day with me, out having a great meal, out also having, beautiful conversations so you can drink from the well and fountain of wisdom. So it's everything and anything. You know how I love to teach. So you can come with your personal questions. You can come with questions for your family members. You can come with you seeking counsel, guidance. That's what the lunch is about. 5. So that's how intimate it is. 5, be able to get yourself there. So yeah, it's gonna be a long lunch. So I'm not gonna put time. So we'll say from 1, 5, we are done when Dlozi says we are done. And once my energy says I'm done, because sometimes when I talk a lot, I do get drained. And I'll say, angsana, I have no more energy, so this is it. But how exciting, who thinks is gonna be on that lunch thing celebrating 100,000 followers? 111, nice. So remember to like, subscribe, put on your notifications. So we're talking, does Dlozi choose your partner? Part 3. We did part 1. Unfortunately, I couldn't save it, but part 2 was a recap of part 1, and then it went into part 2. So part 3 is also about your questions. So I'm going to say a few lines and I'm going to open. It's going to be a Q&A. But I wanted to say I went offline for those who came in and they lost me, because I had a call earlier on from a client of mine who's supposed to come for their treatment. They were supposed to come today, or yes, and because they're out of the province, so they drove in, stopped in Dlozi. When they stopped for lunch, they went out, their car was stolen. Calling me from where? The police station, filing a missing cars report, because they're in distraught. So I try to speak to them, because you see, when misfortunes come, we're always like, but why, Dlozi? Because I've already signed up, I've already paid that I'm coming for a treatment. Why are you doing this to me? Not understanding that some things, when they fall apart, they fall into place. Then she calls me while I do this, and she says, Gogo, they found my car and everything intact, including the chickens. Actually, I should have said, because when she called me, she said, it's okay. If I need to take an Uber to come to your place, I will do this. I'm not backing down. I even told my child that we are not backing down. This is probably a test, because we have retracted from, our ancestral commitments and not really forming and formulating a relationship. So we're going to commit. So her commitment, I mean, in Joburg, where do you ever find your car? And it has no tracker. There was no tracker on the car, but they found the car. With everything, the clothes, nothing was taken away from the car. The car is still intact. She was able to drive to where they needed to drive to come for the treatment tomorrow. I got a little white thing here. I was with my kids earlier on. So I was like, wow, these are the things that make me love and sisters so much, because I know sometimes when things fall apart, they're falling into place, because Dlozi also needs to see how committed are you. Are you willing to still pull through things irrespective of the difficulties experienced? One of my favorite friends, one of my advisors, somebody that I respect a lot, and sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but he's a doctor, he's a dentist, and he's been with me from the beginning of my times as a spiritual teacher. Send me something very powerful to say, let's stop this thing of self-care, self-love, let go of what doesn't serve me. That sometimes what we need to figure out is how to really conflict resolutions, because it doesn't mean when things get bad we need to quit. Doesn't mean when the fire is hot in the kitchen we need to run. Sometimes we need to learn how to navigate the fires and the turbulences that are occurring, which brings me to relationships, and those are relationships, because those relationships do have many tests. Because something that's spiritually cemented, right? But when we're speaking about relationship now, we're speaking of a lifetime. Remember, we spoke about, we get relationships that are seasonal, that are there to serve a reason, that are there for a lifetime. So, and we spoke a lot about how do we differentiate that. If you have not really seen part 2, I'm going to encourage you to go to part 2, because it explains what's the difference between a lifetime relationship, a seasonal relationship, and a risen relationship. And I said, once a season has served itself, the relationship falls apart. When a risen has been served, the relationship also moves on. And what I know about life, I said lifetime relationships might also have what we call breaks in between. And what I've also noticed is that some relationships that are a lifetime, even when you go through a breakup, it's not as brutal as a seasonal relationship. It's not as brutal as a seasonal relationship. Things are not amicable. They are so bitter. It gets so bitter, and there is so much emotional reaction that is attached to the falling apart of a seasonal relationship that you leave that relationship bruised and deeply broken, that you want nothing to do with it. There isn't even a room to negotiate certain things. Whereas with a lifetime relationship, yes, the brokenness and the brutality can be there, but there's a willingness to be mature. Someone who sends you away for a lifetime, both of you will have a level of immaturity, emotional intelligence to engage in, that which has fallen apart in your relationship. Possibilities are that you will find each other again. It's just that you need to go, because that cycle of your relationship has ended and you are being rebirthed into a new cycle. So the old, that reason which has brought you together is now evolving. And I said reason relationships normally can get into a lifetime. I mean, if you're feeling this conversation or this teaching, please remember to like it. Likes help with algorithms, because people find things they're looking and they don't know who to look for, it pops up. So remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to also put your notification button on, and remember to follow me on all my socials, especially Instagram, because I am mostly active on Instagram. I'm starting to try be active